It's 10 a.m. on a Monday in Baltimore, but there's no rush hour in Baltimore's inner city. Most people in this neighborhood, and others like it across the country, have no place to rush.
You can't go to movies, you can't go nowhere. All you can do is sit still and watch the day go by. That's all you can do.
Walk over to this group of people. Let me ask you a question people all over this country ask when they meet each other. What do you do for a living? What's your job?
I work at McDonald's, flipping burgers.
Sell clothes, shoes, anything you need, I can get it.
It's struggles, it's no opportunities. You gotta start creating opportunities for the jobs.
Kiko Worrell grew up on these streets in East Baltimore. Unemployment isn't news here, it's life. The neighborhood has been in a recession every day that Kiko Worrell can remember, and he is 31 years old.
You go in every neighborhood where you got hustlers at, and you get these guys jobs, you'll take a lot of people out the street. You'll take a lot of time off their hands. If you ain't got nothing else on your hand but time, you won't come out here and do wrong.
Like over 40% of his classmates in Baltimore's public schools, Kiko Worrell never graduated from high school. He landed in a city penitentiary only a few years later for selling drugs.
Telling kids they shouldn't go sell drugs in Baltimore is like telling somebody they shouldn't be a coal miner in 1930 in West Virginia. I mean, it's, what other jobs are there?
David Simon, the writer and television producer, spent a year profiling a block just around the corner from this one 15 years ago. David Simon says you can hear stories like Kiko Worrell's on every street and front stoop here.
When you have no jobs and there is no future, and the only factory that opens up where you live is a, $2 million a day drug trade in your city that is offering employment down on the corner, you're basically consigning those kids to that.
David Simon points out that people in the inner city neighborhoods that sprawl across Baltimore don't grow up in a place that prepares them for a future.
The post-industrial economy that doesn't need mass labor in factories, it doesn't need manufacturing. It needs information systems jobs that are not here and aren't coming back to Baltimore. And they've basically said, we don't need you. I mean, there's one America that is functional still, even though it's in a recession. And then there's another America that hasn't been functional for a long time, and the two of them are going their separate ways.
Donnie Andrews has lived in both Americas. He was the inspiration for the character of Omar in David Simon's celebrated HBO series The Wire. Now lives with his wife, Fran, and 2 children in a working-class neighborhood just outside the city.
This is what they do all day. Nothing.
But years ago, Donnie Andrews was a lot like Kiko Worrell, an ex-felon who got out of prison with a limited education, dim job prospects, and no glimpse of a future.
We releasing them with no money, telling them they can't get a job, they can't get welfare, they can't get nothing. So what alternative they have but to commit crime? People going to eat.
I'm a convicted felon, so it's hard for me just to go places to fill out applications. I can go fill them out, but that don't mean I'm gonna get the job. Every job I had is because I knew somebody on the inside and I got the job. Not because I went and filled out the application, they called me back for the interview. That never happened. Never in my 31 years of living.
I'm trying to be this good guy, I'm trying to be this citizen, but I can't. Ain't nobody giving me a chance.
Have you done some stuff that you're not proud you did
Right.
to support your family?
Right.
Can you tell us?
Sold drugs. I'm not gonna let my kids starve. If I gotta sacrifice my life, for my kid to eat, that's what I'm gonna do. If it's just hurting somebody or whatever for me to get money to do, I'm gonna do it.
What if Walmart opened a store right over there, and Walmart said, we have some jobs. We have some jobs for people to be checkers. We have some jobs for people to handle the customers when they come in.
We're going to jump on it.
You jump on it?
Yeah.
But the question of opening a Walmart in this neighborhood, or a factory, or a family-owned retail store, isn't just hypothetical. It's probably fantasy. Still, Donnie Andrews is determined to bring jobs back to his inner-city streets. He and others from his old neighborhood have created the Why Murder Foundation, which tries to give people who need jobs the skills to rebuild some of the boarded and abandoned buildings there.
So I'm on a mission. I had a life sentence with the feds and 2 life sentences with the state. God put me here for a reason. So if he put me here to get killed here, then I'll die here. You know, but I don't think so. I think I'm gonna make a difference before I die. Something gonna change.
That's what we heard last September. Since we were there, the national unemployment rate has declined significantly, and so has Maryland's jobless rate. What, if anything, has that meant for Baltimore's inner city? Has anything changed? That's what we were hoping to find out when we returned to the same neighborhood in Baltimore 3 weeks ago.
You know, like most cities now,
We met up with Donnie Andrews on his way to Sunday service.
them buildings still empty. No money is being spent here. The infrastructure is suffering.
The church Donnie normally attends is being renovated because it was robbed and burned last summer. Now services are held at this elementary school. Outside, we ran into 2 church deacons who have lived here all of their lives. You know, the economic statistics have been better the past few months. Have they been better here, better for you?
It's the same thing that we've been seeing for years. Yeah. And so the trickle-down effect is very slow to get down here.
Deacon Stanley Krosky Sr. would know. He works for the local government providing social services for vulnerable and at-risk families in Baltimore. Do you find you hear the candidates who are running in the primaries now coming up with ideas that could be helpful?
Nothing to help us here. I mean, I wouldn't say they have anything that they're raising or any ideas they're coming up with to assist the average person.
They're not really getting down to the root, you know, of the issues.
Deacon Alfonso Coley runs a community program that helps high school dropouts earn their GEDs and learn additional job training.
One of my biggest struggles is with the youth is being able to give them a skill so that they are able to get out and find a job to make a difference, to be those citizens in our community.
What's in this community that's going to allow us to get our young men off the corners and give them some actual hope that I can support a family?
Let me read something to you that one of the candidates said. He said, "We believe in work. We believe that people should learn to work. And we prefer that to dependency." Do you agree with that?
That people should learn to work? I mean, you have to teach a person, you know, a skill in order for them to be able to work.
No one wants to get up and not work. There are generations of people that's been caught up in that cycle of no hope. How do we break that cycle? I mean, you just can't tell me today that that cycle that's been 30 years, 40 years in the making can be just broken, you know, because you think that we should get up and pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Well, give me something to pull myself up with.
The real truth of the matter is there are persons that can't even watch the presidential race because they have no power.
Just down the street, outside the site of the old church, we also met the head of Donnie's congregation, Pastor Sean Bell. The presidential debates have been getting good audiences on television. There have been a couple on a Saturday night. So when your parishioners come in on Sunday morning to hear you, do you overhear them talking about the campaign?
Very little. Their concern is, Pastor Bell, tell me, how am I going to make it Monday through Friday? It's where God lives, and don't and they feel like, okay, here is a group of individuals discussing something that I really feel they're not going to do anything for me. They're not here seeing day by day the murder, the gangs, the violence, waking up to horror stories. They're out of touch. They don't know what it's like to take a little bit and make it a lot.
May I ask, how do you support yourself these days?
I work.
Yeah.
Bell's Bond, helping my homeboy with Bell's Bond work. Selling used cars. I sold about 4 or 5 used cars.
33-year-old Adrian Bradford was barely making ends meet through odd jobs when we first met him on the corner last fall. We talked to him in front of his grandfather's home, the house in which he grew up and continues to live today with his extended family. He is still struggling. Doing okay?
I wish I could do better, but right now, I just got to roll with the punches.
In this part of Baltimore, it's as if the presidential election isn't happening at all. Bradford, for one, says he has little use for any of the Republican presidential candidates, or even for the nation's first African-American president.
Ain't nothing been on Obama in my hood since he was running for president. That whole black president thing with me, that's just a look. That's just a look to me.
As far as he's concerned, no matter what party, no matter what candidate, none of them can understand life in the inner city.
Know why? They don't live here. They ain't got to wake up, come out the house looking over their shoulder. They ain't got to know if they going to school, and when they get out of school, is they going to come home? Is there going to be a home to come to? Is daddy going to be there? Is mommy going to be there? They ain't living with that, so why should they care? Come on, man. You got to be kidding me. They talking about jobs. They talking about doing jobs for what? How many years? Obama even said better jobs, bigger jobs.
Well, then I got to ask you, you haven't been saying some of the same things for 10 years?
Yeah. I want somebody to help us. Need somebody to help my community. Been saying that longer than 10 years. And still ain't nothing happened. Since you've been around here, did anything change? And when you come back around again, let me see, if anything changed, it's gonna be the same way.
When I look at this, I see opportunity.
Donnie Andrews and others say those in the inner city should no longer wait for the government or the next elected leader to step in. They must look within for help.
I think it's time for the people to step up and start taking responsibilities the way this country was built.
It's deeper than the president. It's deeper than Congress. It's deeper than the Senate. It was what our grandparents instilled in us. Each one reach one. Go within, begin to work at the root of the problem. The root of the problem is, let me teach you how to fish instead of handing you a fish, and therefore you can keep food in your house.
It ain't up to the president, it's up to the community. Until the community do it, ain't nobody else gonna do nothing for us. You know, it's the same thing as they say, if you ain't gonna do nothing for yourself, why should I do something for you?
These kids that's on this corner belong to the people in the community. You know, this is our family. They just didn't pop up and end up there that one morning. These are our kids. So we've got, as a community, as a city, as a state, reach back and grab these kids to do what's right by them.